When a boy forgot to return a library book, he had no idea that a ghost was going to come back and haunt him for not doing so. It all started when a young boy named Sammy went to the library one day. He was very excited because he'd gotten to pick out his very own book to keep and read over the summer holidays. But unfortunately, the night before school started back up again, Sammy completely forgot to return it. At first, he didn't think much of it. After all, the library was closed for the next few months, and no one would really be checking if he had it or not. And so time went on, and the due date for the book came and went. Then a little while later, his mom had to go to the library to renew some of his other books. So taking this chance, she asked the librarian if they could also check if Sammy had returned the book. They did, but it was no use. It hadn't been returned. So they said that we'd have to wait until the new semester started, and then the librarian would call his class over to check if anyone had found it. A few months passed, and sure enough, the librarian kept her word. She called out all of Sammy's classmates and asked them one by one if they had the book. Most of them said no, but one kid said that he might have seen it lying around somewhere. Still, no one had any luck finding the book, and it was added to the list of lost or stolen items. This meant that Sammy had to pay a hefty fine if he ever wanted to get another book from the library. And so the story ended. Or at least it would have if the book had mysteriously shown up one morning on Sammy's desk. He was confused because he knew that he hadn't returned it. And besides, even if he had, it would have been years ago and the library wouldn't have noticed until now. There was no note with it either, which would have been nice because then he could have apologized and explained what happened, but there was nothing. It was just sitting there like it was waiting for him to do something about it. Of course, Sammy was scared. How would the librarian react when she found out? Would she take the book back and then yell at him for not returning it all those years ago? Well, to find out, he decided to go to the library right after school. As soon as he walked in, he saw the librarian behind the counter. She looked up at him, smiled and said, "Ah, you must be here about the book." He nodded shyly and walked over to the counter. I found it this morning and I thought I should bring it back," he said, holding out the book to her. "That's very nice of you," she said, taking the book. But then she stopped and looked at it curiously. Where did you find this?" she asked. Just sitting on my desk," Sammy replied. "Oh, I see," she said, still looking at the book. "Well, this is quite interesting," she said to herself more than to Sammy. And suddenly he got even more nervous. What was she thinking? Why was she acting so strange? Hadn't she just been about to scold him? Well, whatever it was she was thinking, she must have made up her mind, because she finally looked up at him and said, "Sammy, this book hasn't been in our library system for 80 years. It turns out that it was actually owned by the first librarian, who worked in this building. Back when it was constructed in 1943, she must have misplaced it sometime during the war when she was evacuated. And now it seems that it's found its way back to us through you." Sammy couldn't believe his ears. Did that mean that instead of getting in trouble for not returning the book, he'd actually helped the library get an extremely rare item back into their collection? He felt so relieved. In fact, he was so happy that he practically ran home that day to tell his mom what had happened. From that day on, Sammy became one of the library's most loyal patrons. He visited every single day after school and even volunteered to help out whenever he could. And the librarian kept the book in her office as a memento of the mysterious past of the building and the ghost who had helped them uncover it. If you enjoyed this story, please share it with your friends and family and leave a like and a comment down below. We'll see you next time.